My name's Liz, I'm an alcoholic, and it's nice to be at another meeting. My sobriety date is the 14th of September 1971. I don't say that to impress anybody here, I say it to inspire you, because I never thought that I'd be in this fellowship as long as I have been. I grew up in Remuera. My father was an Auckland businessman. I went to private boarding schools and I was an Auckland debutante way back in the days when they had such things. I had my first drink at 16 and thought nothing of it. But when I really started, I suppose, on my alcoholic path, unbeknown to me, was when I was in Spain and I was seeing an English girl there who introduced me to sangria. By the time I left Spain, I had thrown out the lemonade and I was just drinking the wine. Because I was a very shy child, I always wanted to be better than everybody else at school, just to feel equal. And alcohol and the wine gave me that confidence that I couldn't get any other way, and I didn't realize that. But my drinking was pretty precipitous. I came back to New Zealand, and the night I arrived back in New Zealand, I was in Auckland Hospital with my first major blackout, which means that I don't remember a single thing that happened that night. The doctor came and sat at the bottom of the bed the following day and said, "Elizabeth, I think you should watch your drinking." And because I'm smart, I went out and I bought a book on alcoholism, which I read. And I thought, this is me. And don't ask me why, but I needed somebody to validate that. So I showed it to my father, who literally threw the book back across the room at me with the words, "No daughter of mine can be an alcoholic." Of course, I had the background. I was a Remuera girl with a background, as I say, of private school and an Auckland debutante. I suppose most people have an idea of what an alcoholic is or was, and I certainly did, because, for me it was somebody under Grafton Bridge, certainly not a woman, but there was something that niggled at me. I know that I suffer from a disease. I had 2 admittances to Auckland Psychiatric Hospital, and that was my behaviour with my drinking. Because every time I drank, I didn't necessarily get into trouble, but every time I got into trouble, I'd been drinking. And like every good alcoholic, I decided that everything here was the problem. So I took off back to England, but I took my alcoholism with me, and it just got worse and worse and worse, because I was in literally the grip of a progressive disease. The turning point for me was when I was down staying with some friends outside Ascot. I got very drunk on the Friday night, and the following morning I woke up and went downstairs, and my friend Sally was sitting there with a cup of coffee at the kitchen table, and she eyeballed me and she said, "Liz, my mother-in-law died of alcoholism," and she said, "You're an alcoholic." And that really took the winds out of my sails. Nobody had ever said that to me before. And she said, "I've got somebody who's coming round to talk with you this afternoon." And I'll never forget this woman, Jean, who arrived. She arrived in a big car. I think it was probably a Daimler or a Jaguar. She had rings on her fingers. She had pearls around her neck. She spoke with a very cultured English accent. And she sat down and she said, "My name's Jean, I'm an alcoholic, and I want to share my story with you." I mean, I was already, because I was really good at attacking people at this stage, either with silence or else with denial. And this woman was amazing. She took me to my first AA meeting the following Sunday night, and I walked in there and it looked like Dad's Army in Mufti. I was 25 years old, and all of these men looked as though they'd been certainly in the Second World War, not the First. They virtually were telling me this is what alcoholics look like. And I listened for all the differences and none of the similarities. I haven't been to jail, I didn't have children, I hadn't crashed cars, I didn't have a husband. And although I went to a few more meetings, I stopped going and my drinking just got steadily worse. Until I ended up in a nunnery, and this was really the turning point for me, when the psychiatrist, my sister who was in England at the time, and the nursing doctor was standing at the bottom of the bed, and they said, "Elizabeth, next time you will be committed to a mental institution." And being committed meant that I wouldn't have any choices, that I would have ECT and goodness, electrical current therapy, and I don't know what else. But then I believe that something really happened to me that night, because I was lying in bed and I had no money, I had no family, they'd given up on me, I had no job, and I just was seeing little beetles crawling across the bed. I didn't need to get that bad. It was just that I didn't realize that I was suffering from this disease. Jean came and saw me, I don't know how many days later, but she came and she said to me, she said, Liz, I'll help you, but you've got to do everything I tell you to do, or go and find somebody else. And so I started back at the meetings, I started calling her every day. I remember her saying to me at one stage, she said, Liz, you know, if you stay around long enough, maybe you're going to be able to help people that haven't been born yet. And I thought she was totally off this planet. But what I have discovered is that I joined a fellowship of people that in actual fact didn't just help me to stop drinking. Stopping drinking was not my problem. I could stop, sometimes for days and weeks and months, but staying stopped was my problem. And what also was my problem was the obsession with alcohol. I was either drinking it, buying it, recovering from it, thinking about it, thinking when I was going to get the next lot of alcohol. It was a 24/7 process for me. That I understand now is alcoholism, and I had no understanding of that at all. What I found when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous was other people that I could identify with. I really learned about myself through you people. And so over the years, I've chosen to remain in this wonderful fellowship simply because I love the people, I love the whole philosophy of the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, and I have friends now that are really, really true friends. They're honest, they're kind, they do a lot of service, and what is the joy I get now is out of helping other alcoholics come in and see them get well as well. Thank you for asking me to share.